the Chasm. CH1, CH2, CH3, CH4, CH5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So starting with CH1, we're going to flip it over. CH1, the bottom part is a little bit wider and there are vertical slots on it. And that is where we're going to slot in our CH6s. So we're going to start with our CH3 and get glue at all points where the wood contacts on CH3. And we're going to slide that in. And get all of our CH6s. And we're going to hit it with glue at any point it's going to be touching another surface. Make sure not to dab it on too strongly here, as any overruns as this drying could affect the way it seats into the high ridge. So seats down face with the long side down, and CH3 is offset a little bit on an angle, tilted back until we get all of these in place. So again, glue on all of the sides. Be careful of any overruns that will drip into the hook section. And once this is seated, we can angle CH3 back in and join all of the slots and align the CH6 hooks with CH3. Now with CH4, we're going to drop CH4 into all the slots except for the very top one. So we're going to dab glue on all the points that it's seated. And we can do them all at once to save time. Again, leaving the top unglued. And moving on to CH5, which is going to join with CH7 as a corner joint. CH5 has a longer tab than CH7. So CH7, the top part, has a little circle on it, and that should be facing away from the bottom of the piece that you're working on. So it should not be facing down, it should be facing up. So same process, drop glue on all the joints. It's also helpful to add a little bit of a vertical stripe of glue under where the corner is going to seat onto the face. And we're going to also dab glue to the side of the horizontal tab on CH7. So CH5 will drop into CH7. And then sit in the last slot. Also helps to add a little bit of glue here if you didn't before you dropped the piece down. And this is all internal, so you don't have to be particularly neat. Now we're going to grab CH8. Just make sure that the better looking side is facing outwards. And on CH8, we are going to add glue at the edge of every flat tab. And then as we get to the corner, we're going to circle the entire tab, as that's going to join up to the corner brace, CH7. And then we're also going to add glue at every raised surface that is going to join CH1. So here I am adding glue to cover everything that is overlapping with CH7. And you can continue gluing towards the top as well. It can be helpful here, but I chose not to. And then we're going to slide it in sideways and seat it in. Often it takes a little bit of a wiggle with CH5 for the alignment. Now comes the point where we start seating in the top section of the chasm, CH2, which requires a little bit of dexterity to line up the first time. The top has slots for the last piece that we're joining in, so the bottom is one straight face. So the bottom slots are going to be CH5, which will join with the corner brace, and then the top will be another CH4. So I'm going to hit these all with glue right now wherever wood meets wood. And I'm going to put the CH4 in the top and CH5 in the bottom. And it helps to rotate a little bit here to seat it in. And if you glued CH8 all the way in the first step, you won't have to rotate the piece like I did here. So CH5 with the longer tab will join through the corner brace on CH7. And CH4 will join towards the top of CH8. Now here it helps to just pull out the CH7 on the top a little bit. And then add a little bit of glue on CH5 just to make sure that it's joined with the CH7. Now at this point we're getting ready to add our other CH8. So I'm going to cover the CH7 corner brace entirely with glue, and then add glue wherever CH8 is going to meet our existing structure. So just to avoid drips, it's easier to have the piece on its side and glue the pieces that are already together rather than the CH8. So I'm going to take CH8 and work from bottom to top to make sure it seats in appropriately. And CH5 always takes a little bit of a wiggle just because there's some variability in how the corner brace seats in. And once that's in, you can drop your piece back down. Now we're going to seat CH9. And CH9 has vertical tabs at the bottom that will align with the CH6 hooks. So basically hit every surface that it will sit in with glue. And it's also helpful here to fill the corner brace inside the CH7 with glue as well. Adds a little bit of strength. It isn't crucial, but I always like to add a little bit more because it's inside and it's hidden. So once we have that all glued up, we are going to work bottom to top, just because there is a little bit of give. So seat the hooks first, and then work through all the other tabs. And once that's seated, we're going to move on to CH10. Has slots towards the top. The bottom part that joins into the corner is flat. So again, we are going to hit every spot that it joins to with glue. Make sure you fill in the corner braces. And then work again bottom to top to make sure everything slots in correctly. And then we're going to move on to seating in the final piece, CH11. You can see here on CH10 I missed a glue joint, so I'm just going to pull it back a little bit and fill that back in. And once that's together, hit everything on CH11 with glue. And then it also helps to add a little bit of glue here in the depressions in the tabs. And then this just drops right in. Now just examine anything and wipe off any excess glue on the joints. And this piece cures best when it's laid on its side. Now with some of the glues you can get a little bit of warping, or the wood can take a little bit of shape, and if something isn't seating in 100% flat, you can always add a little bit of tape while it dries. Here the only thing I had on hand was electrical tape, so it's just enough to keep the gaps to 0 and easy to remove without marring the surface. Scotch tape works well too, so does masking tape. Now finally, you just want to make sure that you don't have any glue overruns where the hooks are, because it can interfere with the way it slots into the high ridge. So make sure this part is clear. Now moving on to the Chasm support, CH lowercase s. So it goes with CHS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 4 and 5 are very similar, but 4 has a little bit of a longer point, and 5 has a little bit of a nub on the end. So I'm going to start with CHS1 and add glue to the middle slot. And we're going to take CHS3, the larger slot, and drop the two together. And note on CHS1 where the tabs are. So we're going to take glue and add it to the remaining tabs on CHS3, and we're going to drop our CHS2s into those middle tabs and make sure that the long prongs are all on the same side. So one side will have long tabs, the other side will have short tabs and or a hook in the center. Now we're going to take our CHS4, which has the longer ends, and add it into the top part of the support structure, which has the longer tabs. There's a very slight length discrepancy between the two sides. This is longer, but it's very subtle. So drop glue in the slots and drop this piece into place. And then can follow it up with the CH5, fill the 3 slots with glue, and add the CH5 in. Now on the CHS6, there's a slight variation in the width between the bottom slot on the side and the outside of the triangle. So the smaller one will align with CHS5 and the larger one with CHS4. So basically add glue to every point that is a depression where the CHS6 will make contact, and align it. It's a little bit easier to lie it face down and get the slots in using the table. And then we're going to flip it and repeat the same process with the other side with CHS6. So again, all of the depressions where wood makes wood contact. And again, CHS5 will meet the side that's closer to the edge of the triangle. CHS4 will have the wider side. And this is easier to drop into place with the face on the table. And I'm going to wipe off any excess glue here. And this piece cures best sitting on a sideways orientation here so that there isn't any force or pressure exerted on the faces, so that they can dry fully flush with the structure inside. So optional step here with grip tape for the front face of the Chasm and the high ridge. There is a long smooth surface, and some of the tires could use a little bit of assistance. So basically punch out all of the modular obstacle slot gaps in the face, peel and stick. Now I would just recommend, if you are going to paint or add color to anything on the kit, do it before you apply the adhesive, because it will not come off. So just align everything. There's about a 3mm gap, and roll it on and seat it onto the surface. the same process applies to the Chasm. The tape will have the wider part at the bottom, and again punch out the plus slot holes, peel and stick. So we're going to hover this, make sure that we're happy with the alignment before we start seating it all the way down. And then smooth it out, centered edge. And this is helpful because there's about a 60-degree rise to the high ridge and a 45-degree rise to the Chasm.